Welcome back to Mega Stadiums. Today, we're heading to Queens, where a football club that spent over a decade playing at baseball stadiums is finally getting a home. New York City FC went through 24 potential sites and 5 failed proposals before breaking ground on Etihad Park, a modern 25,000-seat stadium ready to open in 2027. This is the story of the longest wait in MLS history and why it was worth it. Let's get started. New York City FC's story begins not with a stadium, but with the conspicuous absence of one. When the club was admitted into MLS in 2013 and took to the field for the first time in 2015, they did so at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, a baseball ground never designed for football, with sight lines and a pitch configuration that became a running joke among fans and a persistent embarrassment for a club backed by Citi Football Group, one of the most powerful ownership networks in world football. Citi Field in Queens served as an occasional overflow venue when the Yankees' schedule demanded it, and at one point NYCFC even played games at Rentschler Field in Connecticut. For a club with global ambitions in the world's greatest city, it was a peculiarly nomadic existence. The search for a permanent home began almost before the club played its first match. As early as 2010 and 2011, MLS itself had explored up to 24 potential sites across New York City, including Pier 40 in Lower Manhattan and Flushing Meadows Corona Park in Queens. Each one stalled. Community opposition, political hurdles, competing land uses. The obstacles were different every time, but the result was always the same. In the years that followed NYCFC's founding, proposals for sites in the Bronx at Harlem River Yards and at Belmont Park in Nassau County all came and went between 2013 and 2021, failing for reasons ranging from funding gaps to parking disputes to neighborhood concerns. The breakthrough came from an unlikely place. Just across the street from Citi Field sits Willets Point, a neighborhood locale called the Iron Triangle for its maze of auto repair shops and scrap yards. Decades of redevelopment plans had come and gone. But in November 2022, Mayor Eric Adams announced that NYCFC would anchor a sweeping transformation of the 23-acre site. And this time, it was actually happening. The stadium proposal gained traction because it was tied to something far bigger than football, the city's largest 100% affordable housing development in 40 years, a new public school, a hotel, and green space for a community that had been waiting a long time. The approval process wasn't without drama. Mets owner Steve Cohen threatened to block access to Citi Field's parking lots unless officials approved his plans for a nearby casino, a standoff that wasn't resolved until March 2024. A month later, the New York City Council voted 47-1 to approve the Willets Point project, clearing the final hurdle and opening the door to construction. With a decade of false starts behind them, the club had finally found their home, not on a waterfront or in a converted park, but in what F. Scott Fitzgerald once described as the Valley of Ashes. The symbolism was not lost on anyone. The renderings show a compact, purpose-built rectangular bowl that makes an immediate statement about intent. There is nothing temporary or makeshift about Etihad Park. Every element of the design has been built around the needs of football first. Designed by HOK, the firm behind St. Louis City SC's celebrated Energizer Park, the stadium has been conceived as a dense, atmospheric venue that wraps fans around the pitch and creates the kind of noise and proximity that borrowed baseball grounds simply cannot manufacture. The defining visual feature is the Cube, a 7-story entrance structure on 126th Street covered in more than 11,000 square feet of LED screens. On match days, it will display programming, countdowns, and fan content. On off days, it will function as a dynamic public art installation, celebrating Queens' cultural diversity. It is an unambiguously bold architectural gesture, a declaration of arrival from a club that has spent too long arriving at other people's grounds. The stadium will hold 25,000 spectators, and the design draws heavily on the lessons learned from Energizer Park, which opened in 2022 and transformed the surrounding neighborhood into an economic catalyst within its first season. For supporters, the details are equally promising. The stadium incorporates 3,400 safe standing positions in a dedicated supporters section. Above them, a 9,000 square foot rooftop supporters porch bar will provide one of the most distinctive pre-match experiences in the league, and the Tunnel Club, a glass enclosed space right at field level where you can watch players walk in and out of the locker rooms, with all-inclusive dining and the pitch right in front of you. The stadium's social heart is Paze City Square, a 40,000 square foot multi-use plaza located at the primary entrance. The space is designed to operate 7 days a week, not just on match days. The headline technical achievement is the energy system. Etihad Park will be the first fully electric professional sports stadium in New York City and one of the first in the entire United States. The design incorporates solar panels, locally sourced materials, and rainwater harvesting throughout the facility. There is no gas connection at all. This makes NYCFC the second MLS club after Inter Miami to open a fully electric stadium. A remarkable coincidence of ambition from two of the league's most high-profile franchises arriving within a few years of each other. Beyond the stadium itself, the 2,500 units of 100% affordable housing being built alongside the stadium represent the largest such project in the city in 40 years. A new 650-seat public school, a 250-room hotel, ground floor retail, and more than 40,000 square feet of public open space complete the picture. There is also a sporting legacy beyond MLS to consider. Etihad Park has already been selected as a venue for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games football tournament, meaning the stadium will host international matches within the first year of its operation. For a club trying to establish itself as a genuine football institution in the world's most competitive sporting market, the Olympics stamp of approval is a significant early endorsement. The financial headline is straightforward: $780 million, entirely privately financed by NYCFC, with no public funding for construction. The land beneath the stadium has been leased from New York City rather than sold. The club holds a 49-year lease, which means the city forgoes what the Independent Budget Office has estimated at up to $538 million in property tax revenue over the lease's lifetime. The city's position is that the broader economic returns more than justify that trade-off. The full Willets Point transformation is projected to generate $6.1 billion in economic impact over 30 years, creating 14,200 construction jobs and 1,550 permanent positions once operational. The construction timeline has been aggressive from the start. Soil remediation at the former industrial site was completed in May 2023. Full design approvals and the decisive 47-1 City Council vote followed in April 2024. The official groundbreaking took place in December 2024, attended by MLS Commissioner Don Garber, Mayor Adams, Queensborough President Donovan Richards, and Council member Francisco Moya, alongside NYCFC's front office and ownership. By June 2025, the stadium's first structural steel beam had been installed in the supporters section. By the autumn of 2025, construction crews were well into installing the steel framework, concrete metal decking, and exterior precast panels, with a 500-strong workforce advancing vertical construction across all 4 stands. As of March 2026, construction is progressing on schedule, with the grandstands taking shape and interior work on premium spaces, concourses, and infrastructure underway. Council member Sandra Ng carried out a site visit earlier February, describing the stadium as already remarkable from the outside. NYCFC CEO Brad Sims has said he couldn't be happier with progress, and the club has publicly confirmed they remain on track. The timing of the opening has been shaped by a significant structural change in the league itself. MLS is transitioning from its traditional spring to fall calendar to the international fall to spring format, and that switch is creating a compressed transition season in early 2027. NYCFC have decided to use that period at Yankee Stadium and Citi Field rather than rush the stadium opening. In February 2026, the club confirmed what their fans had been waiting to hear. Etihad Park will open for the start of the 2027-28 MLS season in summer 2027, aligning the debut of the new ground with the debut of the new league calendar. The wait, in other words, will be worth it. The commercial transformation that comes with stadium ownership is the underlying logic of the entire project. At Yankee Stadium and Citi Field, NYCFC have operated as guests, with all the commercial limitations that entails. At Etihad Park, the club controls everything: naming rights with an already 20-year deal with Etihad Airways, founding partnerships like the Paze City Square deal, hospitality revenue across Tunnel Club and pitchside lounges, food and beverage, event revenue from concerts, international matches, rugby, lacrosse, and whatever else. The flexible design can accommodate. The bigger picture is one of a club finally arriving thriving on its own terms. New York City entered this final stretch of construction having finished as runners-up in the Eastern Conference in 2025. The 2026 FIFA World Cup across the wider North American host cities is putting football at the very center of the American sporting conversation. And in the summer of 2027, when the gates of Etihad Park open for the first time in a competitive match, New York City FC will finally have the one thing a decade of ambition never quite delivered: a home. And that's the full story of how New York City FC went from 12 years of borrowed grounds and broken promises to the verge of opening one of the most anticipated stadiums in MLS history. What do you think about Etihad Park and NYCFC's journey? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching. See you next week.